this is Peter from the Sampleist, and in this video we'll be taking a look through Audict's Mythos collection. Composer Chronicles Mythos is a comprehensive collection complete enough to create entire soundtracks with. It includes a string section, lyre, tagelharpa, jaw harp, a custom stringed instrument called Valhalla Pluckscape, vocal phrases and drones, drums, synths, and even some sound effects and tickers. Many of these sounds have multiple dynamic layers, round robins, and mic positions, ensuring a rich and authentic sound. Mythos totals about 38 gigabytes. 15 gigabytes are dedicated to their string section, which includes close, mid, and far mic positions, and 16 round robins on the shorts. 11 gigabytes are dedicated to the drums, with the same 3 mic positions and 7 round robins across several different types of hits. Drums include the bodhran, large and small frame drums, floor tom, shaker, tabor, taikos, and tam-tam. The solo vocals feature Viking and Celtic influence performances across all major and minor keys for a total of 1,842 phrases. The combination of instruments in this collection allows for both bread and butter arrangements, as well as Viking, Nordic, Celtic, and folk influence compositions. Mythos is designed to work with Contact 4 or above, containing just over 30,000 samples. However, samples are unlocked WAV files, so they can be used even without Contact. Mythos retails for $280 US and is currently on a half-off intro sale for $140. Now let's jump into the sounds and hear what plunder awaits us. Alright, so we're going to kick things off with the Valhalla Pluckscape, which is one of the more unique instruments to come in this collection. Really love this sound, really love this instrument. Just a quick mention of some of the controls. So it's a pretty simple user interface. You have, when possible, you'll have different mic settings, so we can listen to the close, mid, or far mics. We can solo them, change the volumes. Yeah, a couple effects up here. There's a crush, width, and reverb. So nice to give you just a little bit of a distorted sound, something a little bit more crunchy. And then the reverb here. Pretty nice choice. I find it doesn't really make too strong of a statement, so it's really easy to mix it with other instruments, and it's nice to have that consistent reverb across the library. And then there's usually EQ controls as well. The pitch knob here is just linked to the Contact pitch control, so you can see as I move this up, this thing's moving up too. All right, let's continue through some of the other traditional instruments. It's really fun to have that included. So the tagelharpa has 2 zones to play. There's a zone down here, which is just regular polyphony, and then the zone up here, which is a legato. All right, let's move on to the vocals. I'm going to start with the Ice Queen vocals here because I think they're another one of the things about this library that really sticks out. Now, when we move over to this, we can see the major minor display over here. So you can click on the GUI and change which key the phrases will be in. Or you can use the bottom 2 octaves of the keyboard to do the same thing. So octave 0 here is for the majors and octave 1 for the minors. So let's listen to a couple of these. Yeah, so these are really nice for that kind of Celtic or Viking mood that this library goes for. The vocals are pretty intimate. I really like them from a kind of cinematic and ambient and even sci-fi type standpoint. Obviously fantasy as well, but I think adding some effects on top of them can really like put them in many different kinds of situations. I'm really enjoy playing around with this. And to boot, they're actually unlocked samples. So in the samples category, you actually have the different keys and modes laid out. So if I wanted to go into A major, for example, I have a whole bunch of wave files here that I can further manipulate, bring outside of the Kontakt environment into other tools I have. So there's a lot of phrases in here, like close to 2,000. So lots you can do with this. Even if you like a phrase and it's in the wrong key, you can step it up or down a bit. So really happy with this part of the library. Right now, let's jump to the deep choir. So yeah, you'll see in the demo, I do find this adds a really nice foundation to a track. So now let's jump up and listen to some of the strings. So this library has a giant string section that went into the samples, and I particularly like that for the short basses here. It's just a really meaty sound, packs a big punch. I'm really excited to have this to work with now. Anyways, these work obviously really well together if you throw the basses, high and low strings into a single contact instance and play them all together. And I have that in the demo, so I will go through how that looks there. I also want to bring up these dive bombs and risers. Yeah, so I really like the flexibility here. You have your shorter dive bombs here at the octave 1. And the end of the dive bomb lands on the note that you're hitting. And then in the second octave here, you end with a really nice tremolo. Really adding a lot of tension. And then the third octave without the tremolo, and the risers near the end, all very flexible in multiple situations. And again, the samples are there for you to play with yourself if you want to do some other kinds of stretching or squeezing or loading them into synthesizers and what have you. So really nice to have that open. Listen to a couple more of the strings. Yeah, so you'll notice I'm not filling awkward silences. The shorts take a little bit of time to load, and that's just a large part due to the different velocity layers and the insanely high number of round robins. The next section I'll go into is the drums and percussion. So I won't go through everything here, but you've got a bodhran, large frame drum, small frame drum, massive floor tom. You have some sound effects, a shaker, a tabor, a taikos, tam-tam, and a few different tickers. So let's start here with the bodhran. Now the way these are laid out is you will get kind of a pair of the same type of hit, so that'll allow you to jam on it a little bit easier. Yeah, so each of these instruments has several different articulations that you can easily swap between on the keyboard. Who doesn't love a good large frame drum? Super useful to have all this stuff. We'll take a look at one of the SFX banks. So in red, there's a whole bunch of battle sound effects. And then we have some kind of horn calls here. And then there's an atmosphere. There's two atmospheres here. So again, you can pull these as samples and do all kinds of manipulations to them, and they provide a really useful base. The taikos. Flip through an example of the ticker. So this one, unlike other instruments, the round robins aren't mapped to one key and kind of flips through them. These are actually all different round robins of the same ticker. So if I hit the same key, it'll play the same sound, but it gives me control over how the round robins are going. Nice little additions here. So, this Viking Celtic focus, but there is a little bit of extra help in terms of having things like these sound effects and tickers, and I'm about to go through the synth section. So it really does provide you a reasonably comprehensive amount of stuff, beyond just the focus of the Viking. So I'll get to it more at the end and during the demo, but it really adds some pizzazz to some of this themed Viking Celtic stuff, but also includes extra tools in here that are useful for any type of composing. And I mean, the quality of quite a few of these, like especially the Valhalla Pluckscape and the Ice Queen vocals, it's just easy to kind of think of other kinds of uses for them beyond just a straightforward Viking or Celtic setting. Right. So when I pull up the synths, you'll notice that instead of mics, we get to an ADSR control on the left side. So useful change there, but everything else stays the same. So yeah, these are really handy to complement the other instruments we have. Some pads, some more atmospheric synths, and some good basses and plucks in here too. So definitely a little bit of help. And these are usually synths I find that go well with the library. So if you're not majorly into synths and doing your own sort of sound design, these are just really convenient to throw into your composition with the other instruments in here, and you don't have to stress about finding the right synthesizer or getting overwhelmed with different presets. So it is really nice that they included this here, and I personally like the fact that there isn't a giant selection of synths that start to get confusing when they're not really the focus of the library, but it's enough to help you just pad your sound a little bit, give it a little bit of that extra hybrid oomph. Right, so I guess ending on the warm aurora, even though it is very cold where I am right now in Western Canada. I like ending here on the demo or on the walkthrough, so let's check out the demo I made with this guy. Right, so there you have it, my Viking-inspired track. That'd be the first Viking-inspired track I've written, and I think Mythos gave me the right toolkit to do it. So let's walk through a little bit of what's going on here. I wanted this track to have, some slower parts and some faster parts to showcase the different sides of the library. Kind of built this somewhere in between a trailer and a sort of video game low-key ambient to battle style split. Now, at the beginning, you can see my notes at the top, opening monologue. So yeah, I had the great idea, there'd be some voiceover here, probably female, saying something like, "Ours was a proud people. We were the people of the North." That sort of thing. So this entire track is Mythos only, with no other effects or mastering or anything, except for a reverb and delay that I put on the Ice Queen vocals just to enhance that effect. Maybe just to be fair, I will play this opening section without any of the effects on it so you can hear what that sounds like. So still has a really good impact, and honestly, I used a free reverb that I love to use on everything, and just my DAW delay. So I didn't really add anything too crazy, but I felt like it enhanced it a bit. But again, these vocals, they're really great, ethereal, sort of intimate vocals, and I'm really pleased with how they sound. To support it in this little intro section, I have one of the synth patches, Blacksmith's Grinding, which gives a nice little atmosphere. And then I also have, from one of the sound effects banks, I have an atmosphere there. Let me got to get the automation there too. So you can hear it ramp up with this volume automation. Just giving it a little bit of that sinister vibe as well. So got that intro, just a little section in here with just the vocal transitioning us into a proud Viking section. So here's where you cue the shots of day-to-day Viking village, villagers going around with trays of fruit, and everybody looking handsome and pretty and happy. Probably getting ready for their next pillaging journey. As I mentioned in the sound walkthrough, another piece of this library I really like is the Valhalla Plexscape. So just have it kind of strumming away on some chords here. Nothing too crazy, but it's just got such a nice sound to it. I have these deep choir drones. They fit really well in a composition as a base layer. And of course, if I were better at this and not just a hobbyist, I'd probably be putting a lot more automation in here to give the dynamics, and that would really help the sound too. but it fits in really well in the context of the greater composition. Yeah, and you can hear it meshes, maybe I'll do this, meshes really well with the strings. Yeah, so really like that combo there. Yeah, I've got this combo. So in this demo, I have a few instruments you'll see here that are actually combos in the contact interface. So this one here is a large frame drum and the bodhran together. Now they don't exactly match up. So I'll just pull up the interface here. So if I flip between the two, so here I've got the bodhran, and up here I've got the large frame drum, and you can see the keys actually don't quite line up. Now, I have tools at my disposal where I could actually fix this and line them up if I wanted to, but in this composition I actually liked the fact that they didn't line up, so it gave me the ability to kind of have some hits where they overlap and some hits where they don't. So just got this playing a simple beat in the background. Sounds really, really great with the dynamic changes on the velocity. And towards the end of this, I start adding in some different articulations. Kind of like a side stick hit. And then strings, so I did the same thing with the strings here. Let's just do this. So I've kind of stuck the high strings, low strings, and basses all together in one contact instance. Made it really easy from a playability standpoint. Obviously, you can keep them separate and get into much more detailed arrangements, but that was a quick way to get everything together. Made it really playable. So then in the second half of this section, I bring in the tegelharpa and the lyre. I've got the lyre kind of playing this sort of arpeggiated thing. Just gives it a little bit of a brightness. Then the tegelharpa here. I've got that playing in the legato register up here, and it sounds really great together. Definitely sets the sort of Viking mood I was going for. Yeah, so then, of course, all cannot be well forever at this wonderful Viking village, and they have some invaders, maybe a rival village, maybe aliens, who knows. So it was just an excuse to add this little build section in here. Yeah, I really wanted an excuse to use some of the dive bombs and risers. And I also wanted to showcase a little bit of, the kind of hybrid sound designy pieces of this library. So obviously from the previous section, we've got a really pulled together sort of Viking Celtic sound. And then in this section, it totally comes off of that, and I admit it's probably a bit jarring, I don't know if I would go this much of a contrast in a real situation, but in terms of showing off what this can do, so we've got a sound effect here. It's actually a few sound effects going together. And then I've got another combo of some of the drums. Sound good together. Then I've got a ticker, and as mentioned in the walkthrough, the round robins of the ticker are mapped to different notes. So I just kind of played up and down a scale a couple times, gave it a bit of a velocity ramp up, increase the volume towards the end, and then this distorted thumper as a bass. Just to give it that little bit of movement in here. And then of course the riser to round off the sound. So I chose to, with the Ice Queen vocals and the dive bombs and risers, I put them in via the contact interface. But again, you could just take the sample directly and put it in, and that would give you, the waveform visibility and potentially the ability to stretch and squeeze it a little bit. So you can fit these in, to different sorts of tempos and situations. So then we move off this section. So a couple things. So the Valhalla Pluckscape is right. This is obviously, in a trailer scenario, we've gone, set the stage, showed some sort of disruption, and now we've got Act 2 of people fighting and things not going so well. All those handsome and pretty people with all kinds of blood on their faces and maybe, bleeding it on the ground. It's pretty gruesome out there. So we've got a much more upbeat piece of the track. So now rather than strumming something, I'm more plucking or arpeggiating something with the Pluckscape. So I think it sounds great in either of those scenarios. So we got that kind of running through. We've got the Tegelharpa back. Yeah, those two together in another world where this Viking village isn't under attack, they could actually be telling a very positive, happy story. They sound really nice. I've brought back this large frame and bow drum. Just playing something a little bit more serious than in the previous section, with an end here that ramps up a little bit. Really like some of those drum sounds too. I've added the tam-tam in here with some effects and accents. Really like that scrape there. Ramping it up towards the end. And in fact, I will stick these two together. Great percussion section in there to provide, the oomph that I wanted in this section. And then we go to the short strings. So similar to the long strings, I have I've stuck everything together in one contact instance. So we've got our high, our low, and our basses all together. Again, really great way to make it playable and just sketch something out. Yes, I'm not doing anything too crazy in this section, but I really like the sound that they provide. So yeah, the large section that was used to record these samples, I think it really comes through nicely in the shorts. Gives you some really good oomph. I threw in the jaw harp here as well. And I gotta say, I wasn't expecting to throw the jaw harp in here. When I turn it off, you can hear it does give you just that like little bit of something extra in the back to just, I don't know, just catch your ear a bit. I thought it sat in quite nicely, which yeah, it was a surprise, but it worked out. That's basically this section. And then the dramatic cut at some pivotal moment, and then probably another monologue or continuation of the beginning monologue in the trailer world. Title comes up and all of that stuff. And this section to close it off was just, again, the Ice Queen vocals and one of the synths in here, the Ethereal Horizon pad, which is actually, it is a really nice sounding kind of fluttery pad in here. And then you'll notice the Ice Queen vocals up in this track. They have, just pull up the pattern, you can see the key switches in there. So yeah, I'm easily switching to the different keys that are being played in the pad in the back. And yeah, sounds great. I think maybe to be fair, we will turn off the effects on her again. They were actually off, so gotta catch the key switch. Versus you can get these to sound super ethereal with just a little bit of external effects, but as you can see, even without the effects, it fits really well in the composition, still has the intended impact. So yeah, that does it for my track. Hopefully you all thought it was okay and useful to go through the different pieces. But yeah, 100% Mythos, except for those couple of little effects on the Ice Queen. Right, and that'll do it for the Sampleist walkthrough of Mythos by Auddict. Yeah, just some closing thoughts. I feel like it, as a hobbyist, if I were looking for a quick way to get this Celtic Viking sort of soundscape, this would be a perfect library. It has everything you need and kind of helps you focus down to just those essentials without distracting you too much with other things on top of it. But that being said, there are little things here and there in the sound effects, in the synths, even in the percussion that give you extra sound design possibilities that go beyond just that Celtic Viking feel. So I really like that piece of it, just that kind of unique flavor. I feel like the samples are also quite high quality. The Valhalla Plexscape sounds very, very nice. The Ice Queen vocals sound really great, and definitely from a personal perspective, I can see lots of uses for those outside of this setting. I mean, they'd be great for a general fantasy setting, also sci-fi, also making ambient styled music, and I bet you there's a lot of fun stuff you could do with the samples in, hybrid synthesizers and the like. And I really appreciate, the dive bombs and risers and the shorts on the strings. I feel like, to me, those kind of stand out from other orchestral libraries. So all in all, quite happy. I think it is kind of a bonus that it runs in an older version of Contact as well, so it can catch some people who may not have taken upgrades up to 6 or 7. And it's a pretty straightforward, simple interface, so you aren't getting a lot of extra features in here, but at the same time, it's really, really straightforward and easy to get going with it. It's very intuitive and straightforward, and it's kind of all about the samples. So you can add whatever extra bells and whistles you want to in an effects chain or by combining it with other things. But the library, I think, lets the samples stand out for themselves. Yeah. So hope you enjoyed that walkthrough. Hope it was useful. Hope you weren't cringing too hard at my trailer description. Let's consider ourselves lucky I didn't do more voices for that. But yeah, we'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. We're really humbled by all of the support that we've been given up till now, and we genuinely do want to provide other composers and songwriters with, a genuine upfront review. So appreciate all the feedback, and yeah, we'll hope to see you next time.